Вперед! Шагом! Марш!
As winter fades, we find all the forces congregating around the main winter quarters. The British forces have chosen to keep their order of battle from the previous year, whilst the French have consolidated their forces, with Nicolas Joseph Bicourt's 3rd Brigade being split up. The season begins with the French 1st Brigade heading towards the Eastern Highway, as the 3rd and supply train head down the valley. For the British, their commander has decided to split into 2 main groups, with the half heading down to the south whilst the remaining brigades head towards the town of Sarria. As the British forces begin to take control of the bridges, General William Cuppage and his 2nd Brigade are about to start what will turn out to be months of fighting in the battle for Sarria. The British 2nd Brigade enters the farms surrounding Sarria and encounters Jean-Charles Abatucha and the Middle Guard. Mirroring their advance is General Halliday and the 4th, who are about to run into the cream of the French cavalry.
General de Brigade, Jean-Charles Abatuxa, aware of the British assault, sets his cannons to cover the dirt road that skirts the hill, whilst setting up his infantry battalions behind a line of hedges. As the midday sun comes out from the clouds and the clatter of hooves can be heard on cobblestones, Jean sees the British have brought lancers onto his left flank, whilst the bulk of their forces were cresting the hill, with cannons facing off against his own battery. British turn 1 begins with a full fusillade from the Royal Artillery, which causes massive trauma to the Middle Guard battery, followed by a roar as all the British forces surge forward. French turn 1. The beleaguered French artillery managed to return fire, keeping the British infantry honest. The Middle Guard form a semicircle with their hussars guarding the flank. British turn 2. The Royal Artillery continue to batter their French counterparts, as the Lancers charge into the Hussars, only to suffer a surprising defeat and quickly turn tail. French turn 2. What remains of the French artillery continue to fire sporadically into the British forces, supported by the Middle Guard line who seek to whittle down the British infantry numbers. The Middle Guard centre and left battalions advance forward as the Hussars attempt to run down the disorientated Lancers. Which they succeed at, even though it leaves them tired with severe casualties. British turn 3. The artillery duel continues with the British wondering what it will take to make the French quit the field. And on the hill the British line returned fire, taking big chunks out of the Guard line. The small regiment of Lancers seized the opportunity to flank the depleted Hussars, sweeping them from the town before returning behind the homes to recuperate. French turn 3. The amazingly stalwart Guard artillery continue to punish the British forces, as the Guard infantry continue to advance upon the British, culminating in a glorious bayonet charge that sends the lead British battalion fleeing. British turn 4. The Royal Artillery continue their futile assault on the Guard battery. Unfortunately, the Guard battalion on the hill cannot say the same, and British muskets sweep them from the field. With the loss of their infantry screen, the artillery commander decides to save what's left of his command, and the middle guard artillery pack up and leave the field. French turn 4. General de Division, François Charles Robert Chernet de Bollamont, joins Jean Charles, and they lead the middle guard in pouring musket fire into the hill as the attack column makes its way around the flank. Inspired by the general's appearance, the small Lancer regiment attempts to take the hill, only to find the British line to be too big a piece of the pie. British turn 5. With their left flank bereft of the foe, General William Cuppert starts to wheel his forces around and orders his artillery to make their way around in support. And unbeknownst to the French, the surviving British Allied Lancers are on their way to the French rear. French turn 5. Jumping the hedges, the French Guard form two attack columns and begin the advance. British turn 6. Cuppert forms his forces into a line right across the crest of the hill. As his marauding lancers continue their advance behind the hedges. French turn 6. Facing off against the British, General de Division, François Charles Robert Chernet de Bollamont decides French firepower is the way to go, and he orders a line to be formed. British turn 7. With covering fire from the hurriedly set up cannons, the British infantry start to back away from the middle guard, and the lancers start to pillage the French general's original command point. French turn 7. Whether it was inspired leadership or outright rage, General de Division, François Charles Robert Chernet de Bollamont, managed to turn the guard attack column right around and march them right into the pillaging lancers, clearing the base camp by bayonet in no time at all. As the day comes to an end, the British retreat under cover of their cannons, and all eyes turn to the west as messengers are sent to see what has occurred on the other side of the battlefield. The French have taken the day on this flank, but suffered more losses than the British, and General de Division, François Charles Robert Chernet de Bollamont can't rest yet until he knows how his cavalry brigade has done.